If you get a chance, watch that episode.
I will.
You'll see it.
All in all, with the amateurs, I'm extremely impressed because we range depending on what city you're in, kind of determines your group that you're dealing with, right? So, like I do fights over in Salinas, you deal with a lot of young people that they're first generation Americans. Here, their families they were immigrants, and their families worked in agriculture. You know that. We talked about that earlier today.
Yeah. Not as nicely, but yeah, we talked about it earlier today.
Something about swimming.
And yeah, that's right. Something about swimming and ice agents and stuff like that. Immigration's at the door.
Why I had the machete.
No, it's machete.
Oh, machete.
These are good kids. These are all good kids. And, they come up after the fight. Sometimes I don't appreciate it. They give you a big hug and a kiss on the cheek.
Right.
These are guys that are tatted all the way up to here, right? And, but they're showing it on the other side. They're giving you respect because you gave them respect.
Right.
They're completely sweaty and...
My wife's rule was you will strip down as you come in the house and go straight to the shower, and we will burn your clothes,
So he loves you. His wife not so much.
Yeah, not so much. Yeah.
His wife no.
Yeah. I have nothing but wonderful experience with MMA in California.
How did you get into that?
Because of
that's got to have been a story in itself.
well, yeah. All through the years I'd been practicing Chinese Kempo, and Scott Coker and myself. I stayed. My kids trained under Scott Coker,
Right.
Oh, wow.
and my son-in-law's godfather is Tony Thompson.
Okay.
While I never trained in Taekwondo, I was very much in that moment. And Scott decided to start throwing shows again, and being a salesman, I said, I can sell advertising, And the next thing you know, I was selling advertising. And
were you joking, though, when you said it?
No, because that's what I do for a living, So
He sells houses, by the way.
Although if I didn't perform, I'd have one of these things coming at me, So we did. I started there in that part of it, and then Scott was doing a show in Reno, Nevada at the I think it was the Hyatt. Maybe. We'll go there. And he invited me to work the back room at a show, and we did that show. And from that day forward, I became part of the, what are you looking at my Rolex?
Well, no, I'm going to see. I want to see how fast you move for a 68-year-old.
Yeah, all right.
If I'm going to be able to get that off your wrist.
There's a giant clock right there, man. We're good.
I'm really good with the Crombie. Although I just put it on backwards just now.
Folks, by the way, just so you know, all kidding aside, he's actually training under Siju Johnny Oliva.
Yes.
I wanted to ask you that. You said you didn't train weapons at all. So where did that come from? I always wanted to, but in our Kempo system, we only trained in technique and self-defense system. Is that fear word? I was always afraid of knives. Oh, so you thought
And I thought, in my later years, I tried to address several things, and one is fear of weapons, and Grandmaster Johnny has walked me through that, and this is my baby. Stainless steel cane. It's extremely deadly.
That is beautiful.
And it's beautiful.
This tip right here scares me.
It's razor blade sharp.
That thing scares
Anybody
me.
who trains with it has puncture holes on their wrists.
Oh yeah, the first time I did too.
Yeah, and then the Crombits. Although these are trainers, but the Crombits, I've become infatuated with now. So now,
aren't they?
I know, and now I'm starting on machetes.
Oh, you're starting with machetes?
Wait a minute, machetes. Yes, machetes. So, anyhow, no, it's a real blessing that I'm with Johnny.
What are your thoughts on the transition from empty hands to now weapons?
I wish I would have studied it 30 years ago.
So I'll tell you a funny secret. We start with weapons.
Oh, and then go to techniques.
No, and then we go to open hand.
Ah.
We don't do techniques. To us, that's a bad word.
Well, I agree, and because I believe in what we call the alphabet of motion.
Yeah.
You know, and so once you have your basics down, and Grandmaster is showed me with these guys here, any technique that I've ever learned in the past is adaptable to this,
Exactly.
right? And it also, and like he said the cane, you know, the sticks, the knives, it's same procedure.
Yes.
Yes.
You know, and so I've learned so much from this man.
You know,
And I drive from San Jose to South San Francisco every
Wow.
day for this. You know.
You know, it's funny because even for us, you know, we've always said we're not teaching you how to use the weapon.
Right.
We're teaching you the motions,
The motions.
that are involved.
I was very impressed with that.
And if you can get that part of it down, like you said, it doesn't matter what's in your hand then.
Yeah, that's right.
Then it is just.
I liked your analogy with the cell phone.
Oh, yeah.
You know, that was fascinating.
He did impress me today.
You know, you're an incredible speaker.
Thank
You
you.
really are.
Don't give him a big
for
head.
being an illegal.
I have to shut
you know.
the
I used to be. I'm legal now.
Dude, don't get
Hey,
his head any
America.
bigger. He's not going to fit in the screen.
Where's your little flag that you were waving earlier? You know?
Viva la raza.
Viva la raza.
If you guys haven't noticed, I'm brown.
and I'm white.
See how well we get along? America, learn from us.
That's right. Rodney.
We're going off tangent now.
Yeah,
Keep
we
going
are.
off-
Yeah,
we're going off
We got to
tangent.
get back on course here. I knew we were going to get along today, you know? You're lucky I'm not using any of the Spanish my girlfriend this time.
In the MMA stuff that you've been doing,
Yes.
who are the best fighters in your eyes?
Oh,
'Cause,
God.
I mean, I'm sure that a lot has come through.
You
right?
know, there's so many.
What do you think of McGregor?
Wow, really?
He's fun to watch.
Yeah.
Would I take him on a date? No.
Well, you know, you either want him to win or you want him to get his ass kicked.
I've gotten to the point I want to see him get his
Exactly right.
with my luck. I'm going to meet him next week, right? He's going to kick my ass.
Hey, come here.
No, you know, in all seriousness, you know, I've done shows at the Playboy Mansion with Strikeforce and MMA
wow.
there. I did 3 shows there. 4.5 years in Las Vegas and throughout the West Coast, and then almost every little town. And there is so much talent in the state,
yeah.
Right.
You know. And, well, okay, Nevada's sort of a state too.
Sort of.
You know,
Sort of.
but K1 was different. The fighters were from around the world.
Right.
You know, and we had fighters fighting for $1 million that come from countries where they're lucky if they make 12,000 American dollars a year. So they are fighting with their heart,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
You know,
So, because like you said, there's a lot of fighters that come around, but what does it really take for them to catapult into the larger stage? How does that happen?
you know, I think some of it is just luck.
Yeah.
You know, and
Right place, right
maybe
time.
who you know. That's why, you know, people like Javier Mendez with American Kickboxing Academy, one of the foremost MMA supplier of fighters in the world, right?
San Jose too, right?
San Jose, right by where I live, and Javier has been a good friend of mine for years. We co-produce, I think, 6 shows together.
Wow.
I produced my own shows, Hard Steel MMA, for a while until I lost so much money I couldn't do it anymore. You know, and that's what I decided. It's better to go to work for the state of California.
There you go,
actually
let
get a
that pay you.
paycheck,
Yeah,
right?
I'm going for the pension.
No, you know,
It must be hard to promote that stuff. I mean, to keep it going and
keep it alive.
Could keep you. Yeah.
amateur is tough because you're dependent upon the gyms to sell
Right.
the tickets for you.
Oh,
And
if
because
they're not good at marketing.
Yeah, and if you know,
Shady.
it's a very thin profit margin, and in California, especially the Bay Area, to do an amateur show could run you anywhere from $16,000 to $25,000
Wow.
And you might
and-
make 2,000 back.
if you make it at
If you-
all.
Wow.
You know, because you have a fighter that last minute drank too much energy drink, and now he can't fight. All the people that he sold tickets to want the refund. So
that's why
it's
people
very
don't like
high
the
risk.
commission sometimes.
Exactly. So it's very high risk. Whereas in professional, you know, you sell tickets at a box office. They're usually bigger names,
Right.
And especially if you're going into like Bellator and that's a whole different league
Right.
in itself.
Who do you think to you is a big name?
No, it's bad when he's thinking about it.
Yeah. Do you like cornmeal?
Oh, of course. Yeah, I would
You know,
definitely.
one of my coworkers at where I work at is his, they're really good friends. And he says he's the nicest, coolest guy.
Yeah.
Very, very personable, very generous.
Yep.
He works with a lot of kids.
Yeah.
You know.
Oh, wow.
And I mean, and you wouldn't know. You know, just
There's
because,
some
again,
good quality out there.
Yeah,
There
I
is.
mean, it's really impressive to hear that. I'm like, wow, that's cool.
Yeah.
I would like to hear more of that when, like, you know, they do the promotions and things.
I think it would, yeah, I think that's good to do. You know, I really would too, because, you know, unfortunately, the image that goes across is big, bad. Grr. Yeah, grr.
Yeah.
And with some of those guys, some of them it's true, but with some of, but with most of those guys,
Yeah.
most of those guys, they all have good hearts.
Yeah.
And many of them have, you know, good education, and
Right.
you know, they're family men or family women. Can't
Right.
forget the women fighters out
Oh,
there.
no.
Dude,
those
they're
women
becoming
out
the
there.
better
Yeah.
fighters to
Oh
watch.
man,
I enjoy watching them more than some of the
let me
guys.
tell you, we when we were doing kickboxing shows, we were one of the first promoters in California to start promoting female fights, and it was purely accidental on a fight we were doing out of Santa Cruz, and
Accidental.
yeah, I mean, well, it was the first time Scott had ever booked a female fight, and it was bigger than the main event. The crowd went crazy.
Well,
and-
yeah, I could see
Where
that.
were they on the card? Were they first? Or?
No. It was Francis Farley was first. That's his hometown is
Oh,
Santa
wow,
Cruz, right?
okay.
And we were at the Santa Cruz Civic Auditorium, and Scott and I are leaning against the wall, and we looked at each other, and he said, "We're going to be doing a lot more female fights coming up, right?" And you know, we brought in some really exciting fighters. A lady out of this area here by the name of Ramona Gatto. That fought for us for a while, and she obviously retired. This is going back quite a few years, so she's probably my age now.
Right. Oh,
No, not quite. But no, it's hard to put my finger on any one fighter because there's so much talent.
You see so many.
Yeah, you know, I mean, I've done probably 600 fights in my on my going on 20
And it's a
years.
600 shows because multiple fights per event.
Yeah, because they could range anywhere from 6 to 13 bouts, you know, and
Even at 600.
that's a lot.
That's a lot of fighters.
yeah, it's a lot of fight. Well, those weren't the bouts; those are 600 shows.
Oh yeah, that's what I'm
Times
saying.
the
Times
number.
the
Yeah,
amount of
yeah.
fighters, the amount of.
that's crazy.
Yeah, so I've gotten to be one of the, and with Camo, I'm one of the older guys now, and so I think my career there is probably in the next few years will be over.
Winding down.
Yeah, you know, I'm putting more and more time. I lost my wife in January.
Our
And
condolences.
thank you. And I have now put more and more of my time into my traditional martial arts, which
good.
has been my, as you talked about earlier, has been my saving grace.
Yes.
In many ways. You know.
I think, yeah, I think it's like that with a lot of people who do martial arts. I think that
Yeah.
becomes their go-to thing
Yeah.
to calm down, quiet their mind,
Yeah.
and really just reflect on whatever it is.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you have a hard
Absolutely.
week. You train for a couple hours. You just feel relieved.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's why I asked about the spiritual side of martial arts. And there is, you know, when you get beyond a certain point, whether it's in time or belt rank or
Right.
it doesn't matter. You have put in that time, then it does take on, whether you like it or not, somewhat of a spiritual
Yeah.
Right.
It
foundation.
transforms.
Yeah, exactly.
What do you think, because we ask this a lot of our guests, we always say, you know, do you think the karate world is shrinking? The martial arts?
It's interesting you say that.
Well,
With COVID going on, right?
Yeah.
No, you know what I think's happening? I think we're seeing a retraction to the garages. Yeah?
Yeah.
Most of
Okay, I
my
get it.
friends aren't getting out of martial arts that own dojos in
They're
the
just
Santa
doing it
Clara
out of
Valley.
their house now.
Yeah, because we
becoming more
already were
personal
dealing
again.
with an issue where an average dojo in San Jose was running $11,000 a month for the
Right.
building, and up here on the peninsula, it's
Oh, yeah,
even worse.
Even worse.
Yeah, it's
Right?
gotten really expensive.
So
yeah.
now you know, and the money in martial arts has been with children.
Right, right.
And so, no, most of my that are doing retraction of their current situation are this pulling it back to the garage. And,
Yeah.
and you know, and I'm sure when things change, whenever that may be, it'll start
It'll resurge.
regrowth again. Yeah,
I
I think
don't-
MMA that has
I don't
that.
know. I don't know if that is truly the case, or that it would go back to
Maybe not
schools.
to the glory that it
Yeah,
once was.
because even before COVID, I mean, I've always felt that martial arts isn't as big of a thing as it used to be.
Right.
Remember back in our days, you go to a
Right.
tournament, a gazillion people were there,
Hundreds.
Yeah,
right? Everybody
right.
brings everybody.
Yep.
The rafters were filled with people,
Yep.
and nowadays,
Well,
you're lucky if they
and
can-
part of that may be the fault of MMA.
yeah,
Because, we saw that transition after we did that show in California. We saw a lot of traditional martial arts school introduce MMA into their systems.
right.
And I remember going into some of the schools when we were marketing for an upcoming fight, a kickboxing fight, and they had MMA classes, as many as 60 people going at one time.
Wow.
Oh yeah.
What a lot of people didn't understand is come Monday when they went to work with, broken
Bruises
fingers
and
and
all
that,
that
it's
stuff,
hard
yeah.
to make a living, right?
Yeah.
But over the years, I've seen the dojos and the gyms shrinking,
Right.
Oh, yeah.
right, that catered to MMA, and I'm seeing like in this dojo, where it has expanded, and it's, to me, it's one of the best training facilities in Northern
Siege is an
California.
anomaly, though.
He is rare. He is rare.
Yeah.
I say it all the time, and it's not because he's listening right now.
No,
but,
no.
but
He
it's
can't hear. He's hard of hearing.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. He's the real deal.
Yeah,
Yes,
he,
you know?
he is. When we had our conversation, he and I were talking about the old days.
Yeah.
Because we were both there, and
Yeah.
we were recalling all the same things. Like, yeah, I know that. Oh, I remember that. Oh,
Yeah.
You know,
Army Street.
but it's
Yeah.
changed from what it was to what it is now.
Well, it's funny. My master instructor for 30 years was a man by the name of Roland Gonzalez out of downtown San Jose. And I'll never forget, my friend Scotty told me, I told him I needed to make a change. And he says, I have a guy that I know from fights downtown. Scott used to go downtown San Jose and fight in the downtown dojos on Thursday and Friday night. And so you were, the Moroa brothers and places like that where concrete floors, full contact, right?
Yeah.
And he says, there's a guy named Roland Gonzalez, little Mexican man. He says, he would be perfect for you because he's Kempo. And he booked me. He calls, Roland, I'm sending my friend down. I go downtown San Jose. I am the only Caucasian. Right? I made the mistake of walking in with a blue sweatshirt on. I had no idea what that stuff meant.
Right,
He
right.
looked at me and said, take that off.
Right.
And
That's funny.
we became lifelong friends, but and my teacher, and but that's where Scott came from too.
Right.
Oh,
Scott
okay.
was he liked to fight when he was younger, and so he introduced me to Roland, and I love Roland, and I miss him.
So do you think that's what changed? That people aren't really, they're not being born with that I want to fight
Yeah.
feeling?
Yeah, now it's more
wanna play video
refined.
games.
It's, everybody has a lawyer.
Yeah,
everybody
yeah.
has insurance, and look at the mats, $13,000 worth of mats, and
Yeah, I've seen that change.
yeah, because
Yeah.
everybody's afraid of lawsuits.
Yeah,
and
we talked with Auntie Denise Gonzalez.
I saw that interview.
And she says, yeah, back then it was down in the garage. I mean, down in the basement.
Yeah.
We had horsehair on the floor and blah blah, and we had
Oh,
these
yeah.
little mats, and that was it.
I trained in Roland's garage, and all he had down was the stinkiest carpet. I think he got it at the dump, and you go to the floor, and it'd be like,
I want to get up.
I want to get up, and he says, then don't get thrown to the ground again.
Dude,
you
it's
know?
funny.
Oh, that's
because
why he had a
That's
stinky
why he
carpet.
did.
Yeah, he never
Yeah.
changed
when
it.
I trained with Belisos over on in San Francisco, I mean, they turned their garage into a dojo.
Yeah.
And the ceiling, because they had to lift the ground up.
Yeah.
So you could, and I was small, and I could still touch the ceiling.
Oh,
So
yeah.
everybody that fought you had kind of like
Wait, you were?
little high jumps, yeah.
Oh yeah.
So
Yeah,
you've
you-
grown since then?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, all right. So this is you taller than
Yeah,
you.
this is
Okay.
me a little
Well,
taller.
that was the same way with my friends the Bohusens, Grandmaster Jim and Bo, and I still train with Jimmy a little bit, And they all started in the garage and the backyard, and
Yeah.
they were over in little Filipino area of East San Jose.
Oh, how funny.
Actually, that's not true for them. They were in South San Jose.
Yeah.
But there's a huge Filipino community off of 680.
That's
out
funny.
yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
We, when I first started doing what we're doing now, it started in my backyard.
Yeah.
And then we went to the park.
Oh,
Then
yeah.
it started raining. Then we got lucky and fell into the place we're at now, which is an actual gym in South San Francisco, which Siju.
I got to come and
apparently used to
visit you
live-
guys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You should. It's a lot of fun. But yeah, they're wonderful people. We've had both the husband and wife who own the place come on to our show. Jim Wilson
Oh,
and
yeah.
Pataba.
Yeah, the bodybuilder and the
Takashimi,
nutritionist.
Oh yeah, I saw
Takashima.
the nutritionist. Yeah.
Yeah.
She's our
no
mom.
joke.
She'll kick our ass.
Yeah, she's sharp
Oh,
lady.
dude,
God,
she,
yeah.
Yeah.
she like, yeah, she, give me a list of what you're eating. I'm like, oh shit.
Right off the bat, he's like, I don't want to do this anymore.
All
I
the
don't wanna do this
Filipino
anymore.
food is gone. It's
Yeah.
out of your diet. It's like me with Italian food.
Yeah.
It's like, but no, I've been really lucky.
Were you
know.
born here?
Los Angeles, in Monterey Park. And my-
What brought you this way? The fights?
No. My
Fuck,
dad
what?
moved us in 1958 to Cupertino, and there was, just a handful of people living there. I grew up in the
Yeah.
middle of an orchard,
Oh,
and
wow.
I worked my cousin's farms and that down in the Central Valley, where I also lived for a while, and. I came from a very conservative family that said work first and
Nothing else?
nothing else.
Yeah.
Literally nothing else, right?
Did you ever have your own school?
No. What I did is